RugbyMag.com, the official voice of rugby.
Sitting here with Ahman Green, obviously a long-time NFL player and a national championship in Nebraska.
Yep.
Tell me about rugby and what you're doing here in Vegas and with the Sevens team.
Right now, I say in a nutshell, what I'm doing here in Vegas, I'm a liaison to the U.S. Rugby team, Eagles, and kind of in a way just learning the game by watching, and studying film. Been studying film since October, since I went out to Chula Vista. I had a time to meet with the team, meet with Coach Hawkins, and meet with Nigel Melville, and kind of get introduced to the game and stuff. Now put all the pieces together because I've been watching the game since I was a kid, just as long as I've been watching football. But now when you watch film, then you get the rules down. You're learning why this is called that and why they do this in this situation, kind of filling in the gaps.
It's not often that somebody says they've been watching rugby as long as football. How did that kind of...
I've just been I've come from a sports family. My mom was an athlete, my dad was an athlete. My brothers, we all play sports, from basketball, football, baseball, tennis, weightlifting, everything.
Right.
We were all just always doing something. In the summers, we basically got kicked out the house because we were driving my mom and dad crazy, so we had to find an activity. So that was basically it. And the great thing of TV and cable, and ESPN, 3 a.m. in the morning, I'll be up sometime like, what's this? And I'm like, oh, it's kind of like football, but it's a little different, The obvious no helmets, no shoulder pads, but the same type of, running the ball, flipping the ball, getting tackled, being tackled, or being the tackler, one or the other. So it was something that drew my attention, and just didn't see it, as a kid, around the neighborhoods, picked up a lot of it on TV, and as I got older, learning, how it's been played and around other countries, and now starting to pick up around the U.S.
So your role, you're looking to play a little bit then, but also maybe I've heard be a little bit of a kind of a liaison between the NFL or some guys who are NFL crossover possibles, or what are you looking at, kind of your future with the sport?
Personally, I'm looking at trying to play, see where I could fit in. I'm learning, like I said, I'm learning the game, so so I'm just trying to see where I would fit at, where I would be on the field, and I kind of learned that you could be at any position where the ball bounces and be ready to go to pitch it out, start a play, or get it on the edge and run it out, for a try. So that part, from a team standpoint, and from an organization standpoint, just maybe be that bridge between the gap of NFL players or college-bound players playing American football now. Don't have that, may not have the opportunities to play NFL ball, and might want to exercise the fact of knowing somebody like me, and I liked it, and maybe be something good for them, and hopefully with that can bring in more good athletes, guys that are willing to play, willing to put forth the effort, because to understand that rugby is a little bit different, so you got to adjust, but if you put forth the hard work and effort, it can happen for you, and that'll make us better as a nation in terms of going out there and playing against teams like New Zealand and Fiji, and Australia that are at the top of their game.
It's been a couple, 2 or 3 years ago, but I remember talking to Al Caravella. He was mentioning, well, Ahman Green. We're talking to Ahman Green. This has kind of been on your radar for a little while now.
Yes,
why now?
Yeah, it's right now Twitter. That's basically how it happened. So late summer of last year, 2013, a friend of mine that follows me on Twitter made a tweet about me and rugby, and I kind of retweeted it and said, yeah, that's the plan. And I lost contact with and Al was my contact. Lost contact with him, and then Nigel Melville saw my retweet, and then he tweeted me direct tweet through Twitter, and we exchanged emails, phone numbers, and then bim bam boom, I was in Chula Vista at the end of October, and then another boom, I'm here in Vegas for the liaison spot because talking with Coach Hawkins at the end of that 3-day period where I visited, he saw something, something that I think was useful, either from on the field or, like you say, off the field, bridging the gap between NFL crossovers to rugby.
What do you, the athletes that you see out here, I'm not necessarily comparing to the NFL, but what do you think of the guys when you see some of these tall trees playing for Fiji, or some of the fitness that you see out here?
It's phenomenal. I have respect for every athlete out there, no matter the sport, and especially with rugby. I understand. I already know the hard work that has to go into this sport. I experienced that in Chula Vista back in October, and that was kind of my idea of it: sprint endurance and be ready to rejuvenate as quick as you can, because the ball continually is going, and you got to be at close to top speed at every time, because even though the ball gets tackled, there's no tackle, get up, go to the huddle, all right, set, call the play, and you're back to the line. So no, that ball, the line scrimmage is set. As soon as the ball is up, the tackler gets hit on the ground, and he flips it back or up top to the other guy. So there's really no stop period unless somebody gets hurt or for weather reasons or whatever. But that game is continuing moving. So that player, looking at wide receiver build, guys that can run, that got high motors, and guys that like contact. So that'll be the biggest draw, the thing I'll be looking for in terms of player, and obviously the running back position too, in terms of speed and be able to take contact.
What are your thoughts on just USA Sevens and the event here? And it's kind of a fun atmosphere, a little bit different than football.
Yeah, it's a great atmosphere. It's something I've been watching from afar for a long time now. Through the great wonders of internet, you can check, you can Google it, you could go to YouTube and watch videos, and the website, USA Sevens Lake, Las Vegas website, where I've been a lot, watching what has been the past, years of highlights and stuff like that. So, just to see this event and now be here is like, it's a good feeling, and maybe things work out. I do what I need to do to be part of the development team and then move up from there. Maybe I could be here helping the guys out because that's when I do something, I don't do something 50%. I do something 110%.
And lastly, we're here in Vegas, right? So if I wanted to run off to a sports book and bet on the Super Bowl, who do I put my money on?
Oh, I don't know, because I got a lot of connections with the guys that are playing on both sides of the ball. Me and Peyton Manning were 98 draft class. I got drafted to Seattle, so kind of that nostalgic. Regardless of where I got traded to after that, I went to Green Bay, but that was the team that drafted me, so I kind of could go either way. Got Peyton's back. He's an old alum. Well, not alum yet, but he's a 98 draft member, and like I said, Seattle. But I say if I gotta place my bet, that Seattle defense is hard nosed. So I say that's gonna be my. If I was a betting man, which I'm not, but if I was, I put on that Seattle defense and a smart Russell Wilson leading that Seattle's offense.
Cool, man. Ahman, I really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem.